Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so glad to see you all. What are you doing, choir? You've rearranged your chairs. How dare you change things around? Oh my. How are you guys doing over here? All right. I don't know how you're doing on screen, but you can always type in the chat box and let the AV crew know how you're doing out there. I'm Bob Renjilian. I am your minister. If you are a first-time visitor, you didn't know that. If you are just coming back after 2 years of staying away because of COVID, you may not know that, but I'm here and I'm glad to be your minister. And I'm glad to be here in Transylvania County on a gorgeous weekend with 67% chance of rain, because that's Transylvania County for you, right? And this is the final week of my preaching on the theme of this month, Nurturing Beauty. For those of you who have never been or haven't been for a long time to a Soul Matters discussion, we're going to have it between services. People say, why do we have so much time between services? It's all to torture the choir. But in the meantime, we have to have something good for other people. Well, choir too. You can come too. But between services, we're going to have a Soul Matters discussion on this theme. Sorry if I'm being a little irreverent about it all, but you know what? Unitarian Universalists can handle all sorts of ways of approaching religion. In this space, Wednesday, June 1st, we are going to have our Minister Emeritus, Reverend Ernie Mills, come with the eclectics and friends to present a message about music, religion, meaning, everything, all woven together. This is a Unitarian Universalist congregation where we accept people from all backgrounds, all economic situations, all races, no matter who you love, no matter where you are on your journey through life. We do it with a bit of good humor and a sense of being able to embrace the beauty in each of us. Thank you for being here. Welcome to this space and this special place in Transylvania County. I'm going to turn it over to Mike now.
These opening words are from Gwen Matthews. Feel that? Each breath, each inhale, exhale. We are living, breathing, connected. We are whole, complete, beautiful selves that we were born to be. Feel that? In your bones, in your muscles, in your heart, in your blood. That's extraordinary you. The you who were born for this time, this place, this moment. Feel that? The struggle, the worry, the pain, the loss, the grief, it's still you. You are still whole, complete, beautiful, extraordinary. Feel that? Come, let us worship together. And now for the chalice lighting.
Could we do the hymn first?
I think before that, as it says here, we'll do the hymn. Oops. We'll do the hymn, John. Number 12.
Like the rain
And now we'll light the chalice. If you would join us in unison, please. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty.
Oh, aren't you sweet? I'll just hold it and then give it back to you. Thank you very much. Just stand right there. Okay. We started on Wednesday looking at a choir arrangement of this hymn and determined about halfway through that we couldn't cut it. So we're going to sing the hymn version of The Oneness of Everything. Many of you know this hymn. You're welcome to hum along with us as we do. We'll do the 3 verses. But my apologies for not being able to do the choir rendition of it, the choir arrangement of it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Reaches of Good morning. My name's Kevin Lausch, and I work with the children here, and we're going to have our words of wisdom right now. And Jake and Jack, would y'all want to come up here to help? And this month, you can stand right up here with me, guys. And Jake, could you stand on the other side real quick? And this month, we are doing the theme of nurturing beauty. So this is a story about the beautiful heart, and this is taken from Paulo Coelho. One time, a young man was standing in the middle of town proclaiming how he had the most beautiful heart in the whole valley. Jack, will you hold that up for everybody to see? You want Jake to? Jake, will you hold that up for everyone to see? A large crowd gathered around and examined and admired his heart, for his heart truly was perfect. There was not a mark or a flaw in it. But an old man came to the front of the crowd, and he said, "Your heart is not nearly as beautiful as mine." The crowd and the man looked at the old man. The crowd and the young man looked at the old man, and they looked at his heart. It was beating strongly, but it was full of scars. Jack, could you hold this one up to show everybody? It had places where pieces had been torn, ripped, or removed, and other places where pieces didn't fit quite right. There were several jagged edges around on the old man's heart. The young man looked at the old man's heart, and he laughed. "You must be joking," said the young man. "Compare your heart to mine. Mine is perfect, and yours is a mess of scars and tears." "Yes," said the old man, "yours is perfect looking, but I'd never trade your heart for mine. You see, every scar in this old heart represents a person to whom I have given my love. I tear out a little piece of my heart and give it to them. And often they give me a piece of their heart, which fits into the empty places in my own heart. But because the pieces are perfect, there's lots of rough edges. Sometimes I've given a piece of my heart away, and other people haven't returned a piece of theirs to me. They're empty places and gouges, and they are painful. They stay open, reminding me of the love I have for those people too. And I hope someday they may return and fill that place in, and I am waiting. So now do you see what true beauty is?" The young man stood silently, with tears running down his cheeks. He walked up to the old man, and he tore off a small piece of his heart, and he gave it to the old man. And the old man took his heart and tore off a small piece and added it back in. Will you hold that up for everyone to see, Jack? And the young man took the piece of that heart and added it to his. And they looked at their hearts, no longer beautiful as they were some time ago, but they were beating strongly. And the young man's heart now had a tear in it, but he felt it was so beautiful. To see these pieces of our hearts that we trade back and forth, they don't fit perfectly. They leave jagged edges and holes and things. But that's where the beauty is, since love flows from heart to heart. And we gain beauty in our lives by sharing our love, not by trying to keep ourselves perfect and untouched. So I hope you take that with our lesson of beauty this week. And now Jack will light our children's chalice, and we'll go on out to the children's time. There we go, Jack. Oh, not like that. Just a minute. Turn your candle sideways. Let's go.
Yeah, you can just lay there for a moment. Got tissues to help. Yeah, woozy. I can tell you got woozy when you stood up, so sit back down. You feel okay just sitting there? Yeah. All right, great. Donna's going to do the reading. That's very nice of you, Donna.
Hope I can do a decent job. Perhaps Chile's most famous poet, Pablo Neruda, won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. Donna and I were fortunate to visit his home at Isla Negro, now a museum overlooking the Pacific near the ocean in Valparaiso. He wrote an entire book, Ode to the Common Things. Here is one of his poems. "O irrevocable river of things, it won't be sand that I loved, or fishes, or the plants of the forest, and the field that I loved only leaping, climbing, surviving, sighing things. It's not true. Many things told me the whole story. Not only did they touch me, nor did my hand touch them, they accompanied my being in such a way that with me they existed and were for me so present that they lived half my life and will die with me half my death." And here's his poem, Odes to Common Things. "I love all things, not because they are passionate or sweet-smelling, but because, I don't know, because this ocean is yours and mine, and these buttons and wheels and little forgotten treasures, fans upon whose feathers love has scattered its blossoms, glasses, knives, and scissors all bear the trace of someone's fingers on their handle or surface, the trace of a distant hand lost in the depths of forgetfulness."
Would you go check on Mike, Donna? Thank you. And it's wonderful for congregants to have stepped in that moment. I think this would be a good time to turn to prayer. I invite you to join into this moment of meditation and prayer. Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here come with our hearts torn, pieces taken and given over time. Our hearts reach out to Mike and Donna in this scary moment. Our hearts reach out to those who in this moment know that our love for one another transcends the moments of pain, of fear, of sadness. Our prayers go out to those who have been in the hospital, those who are still in the throes of grief, so fresh, and those whose treatments take not only a bit of cancer, but a bit of good life too each time. At the same time, let's remember the joys, the wonder, the beauty, the people around us who have made us laugh, or the ways we have heard the laughter of others in the way we can help them. In all that we go through in life, let us remember we are not alone. We are a community. We gasp together at the moments of shock. We feel the pain and understand with empathy one another. We rejoice with one another in the things that go well. We are not alone. We are not alone among the living, and we are not alone because we are in the circle of the holy. These and the prayers that we hold now in the silence, we hold. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen. Blessed be. What just happened was pretty scary. I'm going to, during our offertory music, I'm going to go and step out and see how things are going out in the lobby and check in and check back in with all of you. I want to recognize that people noticed and people jumped in. And most of all, I want to recognize, and I heard it, the gasps. Thank you for being right there, in there, with another human being. Thank you for recognizing that it could have been any one of us. I know for myself, standing up from weeding, this kind of thing happens to me. But whatever it may be that happens to each of us, we are, in fact, as I said in my prayer, not alone. And I thank you for being you and being there in that emotional moment. Now, how do you get on with a worship service?
You ask for money.
From another pastor's mouth, this is exactly it. You get into a rough spot, you say, we will now pass the baskets from the depth of the love and the wonder that you have as payment to God that this never happens to you. Whatever it is that motivates you in this moment to give generously, we will receive with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, Gypsy. So, he's fine. And he's going to go and he's going to get checked up at the hospital and then relax at home. So, just want to let you know. And thank you all for the care and concern of this community. And you can reach out later, check in later and see how he's doing. Well, that's what Donna did. So we're okay. Donna did the reading.
Oh, okay, but there was another reading I don't think she did.
She did.
She did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Gypsy. And in fact, we you know what? We really appreciate the way people step it up around here. You're ready in a moment's notice. Thank you. For our visitors who are here today, we do not usually have a visible example like this of the care and also the way in which people will just say, we got this. Thank you. But it's here. That's us. We've got this. We can do it. Let's see. We talk about beauty in all different forms and ways. And I've talked about subjects about, well, it kind of fit last week to talk about the oops, the things that go wrong and yet you make a repair out of them. Today, we had, oops, something happened. Kevin gave the story of a perfect heart looking perfect, but then ordinarily we've got all sorts of scars from the places in which we've loved one another, been injured in some way. Our religious depth that comes from this subject of nurturing beauty, of knowing beauty, doesn't usually, for Unitarian Universalists, have a component that says beauty is only in the most perfect. Now, I go and I rehearse in a space for community choruses up in Asheville. Gorgeous, lofty, arched ceilings, stained glass windows, and the examples there of saints, peoples whose names have been recorded for centuries, a couple millennia. You know, who has halos in the stained glass windows? Who, you know, somehow images of perfection, and yet what I'm preaching about today is the ordinary. Not the extraordinary, not the way out there piece of what beauty is. Not the photoshopped version of life, which can be so damaging to see images that look so perfect. There's not a mole left. But if you're like me, you look for the freckles. You look for the little quirkiness. You look for whatever it is that's ordinary. We probably, as Gypsy, you were saying, oh, I could do the reading. Well, Donna did it. And you know what? It probably went shh, right past you in that moment, right? Regular circumstance was happening, and here was this poet, and what Mike was trying to say, and Donna said it in his words, was he and Donna had been able to visit his home, and how much Pablo Neruda's poems mean, so many of them, and how it was referenced in the Soul Matters packet, and he didn't just listen to the recording of a poem, but transcribed it for you all I'll weave a little bit here. Oh, irrevocable river of things, I won't be sand that I love. It won't be sand that I loved, or fishes or plants of the forest and the field that I loved, only leaping, climbing, surviving, sighing things. It's not true. Many things told me the whole story. Not only did they touch me, or did my hand touch them, they accompanied my being in such a way that with me they existed and were for me so present that they lived half my life and will die with me half my death. What I'm hearing in this midst is the idea of beauty. The river, or the sand, or the fishes, or the plants. The ordinary things touched or have touched us. He had a poem to Odes to Common Things, a whole collection. And in that collection, and it was included in the Soul Matters packet, was one, and I'll scroll to it, that says this: my feet were two woolen fish in these outrageous socks, two gangly navy blue sharks impaled on a golden thread, two giant blackbirds, two cannons. Thus were my feet honored by these heavenly socks. They were beautiful. I found my feet unlovable for the very first time, like two crusty old firemen unworthy of that embroidered fire. Those incandescent socks. I don't know, do any of you go after poems that talk about socks? Do any of you take a moment and look at your feet as they are and then how they look all dressed up with some iridescent socks on them? This is the ordinary. This is the absolute ordinary. I don't know. Was there something, do you remember as a kid having something, I'm going to say as a kid, because you don't want to admit you still do this, your lucky socks for the ball games? Yeah. A blankie? A velveteen rabbit that's been so worn out, the skin no longer furry, but shiny and thread worn. The ordinary things. We sort through those ordinary things when we are getting ready to downsize in our lives. We think of the things that we want to keep. What do you keep that's an absolutely ordinary thing? Or maybe you took a picture of it because where you moved in, you didn't have a place for it on a knick-knack shelf. You didn't trust that where you live now and they do your laundry for you, that little sliver of fabric that you have saved all through your life would not end up being lost in the wash. Whatever it may be, I have things that just bring me back to a state of love and beauty just by seeing it or touching it. And anybody else who comes along, and my kids, some year will look at it and say, why? It looks like a melted crayon. Whatever, what is this? It's a rock. Why is there a rock in his pocket? Some ordinary thing that evoked in a moment something of beauty. It's unfortunate sometimes when we think that only those things that are hyped as beautiful are the worthwhile ones. No, the things that help us feel our heart, our love, remind us of this roller coaster of life that bring us back to understanding beauty, even the beauty in ourselves. all of those things, those are a piece of the holy in the ordinary for us. The Reverend Richard Gilbert, minister emeritus of the last congregation that I was an interim minister at, said this: for the sound of a bow on string, or a breath over a reed, or a touch on a keyboard, for the slants of sunlight through a window, for shimmering shadows on snow, for the whisper of wind on my face, for the smooth skin of an apple, for the caresses of a collar on my neck, for the prickling of my skin when I'm deeply moved. I love that line. For the prickling of my skin when I'm deeply moved. Ooh, I can feel that. For the pounding of my heart when I run, for the peace of the soul at the end's day, for familiar voices and family rites, for the silence of moonlit nights, for the sound of rain on my roof, of the wind and dry leaves, of waves caressing in the shore. Actually, he went on and on. And maybe you've done that too. You could take this as an exercise. What are the ordinary things? I never would have thought of being thankful for the way my collar feels. I wouldn't have thought of some of these things, but yeah, the waves crashing and caressing the shore. Oh, wow, yeah, I get that. That happens millions of times. And yet, it's beautiful and powerful. Cross-culturally, no matter what race, what economic status, current situation you're in, there are things that we find beautiful because they have taken part in our lives with the people that we love. Because even though they look ordinary, even dingy to people other than us, they're really an association with something special. From her website, there's a quote here that I could have used both today and a couple weeks ago in this theme month. Ariana Brown is a Black Mexican-American poet with 13 years of experience in writing, performing, and teaching poetry. And her work focuses on Black relationality and queer kinship and imagining a world where Black girls are free. And one of the famous ones you can find being read by Ariana Brown on YouTube is Ode to a Thrift Store. And she says it this way, and I cannot give justice to the way she reads this. So do look it up on YouTube, Ariana Brown. A rich girl once told me that she didn't shop in thrift stores because they were sad places. And immediately I pictured myself trotting alongside my mom at the community thrift on the south side, the dusty heaven that produced all my toys and dresses. And I know the rich girl is wrong, that thrift stores are anything but sad. She skips ahead to say, the women in my family have always been the most original. Trust them to find a way to do something when every easy option is gone. To turn the blouse backwards and now it fits better, or roll up the sleeves, or remove the shoulder pads. Learn to sew that you can hem your own clothes. What can you create when the only thing in front of you is your hands? How fast can you think? How deliberate can you be? Can you imagine something better than what you have and then make the thing you have better? Who taught you to make a solution when there is none? Who was it who said adapt or die? And did they meet my mother? She wrote an ode to the city bus, too. You know, Pablo Neruda, famous. Ariana Brown should be getting there. The very ordinary stuff of where we live and breathe and work and do everything. I wonder, I wonder, in the moments in which I am afraid, if I might go find my old rock collection and then go outside and find a new rock. I wonder, in the moments in which I feel disconnected with the holy, that I might stare at something until I see the holy in everything, including me, and then nurture that. For there is beauty all around us. The stuff that other people recognize, but most importantly, the stuff that our heart leaps to. With just a wisp of a memory, or the tantalizing spice and watering mouth of, wow, we're on the edge of something. Even in the midst of what looks like ordinary, we have beauty. I look out at all of you and I see very ordinary people. But I know in that ordinariness there is that beauty. In the way in which your lives in their unique ways have worn you in special places, have given you a little hitch in your walk, a little leap in your heart, a little frog caught in your throat, a little blush that comes in moments in which your heart connects with another. And in this I rejoice, for you are all beautiful, and we are blessed. I invite you to join with me in the closing hymn, to rise as you're willing and able, to make a joyful noise, no matter how ordinary it comes out. Our closing hymn is number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. For the earth forever turning, for the skies for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful Though I extinguish this flame, I don't extinguish the flame in each of us that we carry out into this world. In the ways in which we see it in others, we are a blessing to this world. May you be a blessing and be blessed as you go out ordinary into the ordinary spaces. May you bring the awareness of beauty. May you know your beauty. And may you come back again to this place in love. Blessed be.